Hello out there. It is everyone's favorite time of the year. It is 2024 NFL prediction time presented by 16W Media Group. If you're not familiar with what this is, every year I make a prediction about the way the divisions are going to finish, who's going to go to the playoffs, who's going to make the Super Bowl, who's going to win the Super Bowl, and basically let you guys just enjoy the season and tell your significant others that you're watching football, even though you already know how it's going to turn out. And there's going to be some pleasant surprises here, some teams at the bottom that everybody loves to hate, and some teams that for years I have gotten blowback on because I haven't picked them, rightfully so, because they haven't won anything. But this is the year I am going to make those predictions and pick those people. So without further ado, let you take in this year's predictions, and I will go through division by division for you. So let's start over here with the AFC North, and we're going to go bottom to top. Steelers, Mike Tomlin, probably the first year he's going to have a losing record, and it's because Russell Wilson stinks. He always has stunk. He's had a couple of good years because his defense was incredible in Seattle. He was terrible in Denver. He's going to be terrible here. Justin Fields is probably the starter by week 6, and he's not a whole heck of a lot better, but way more athletic, better arm. Just not a good head to be a quarterback because he just makes bad decisions. But I think they're better off with him, still finishing last place. Followed up the ladder by the Cleveland Browns, who normally do Cleveland Brown things, but they're not in the basement this year just because, well, their defense is really good. And then followed by everybody's favorite darling, Lamar Jackson, MVP candidate, MVP for a couple years. Really good quarterback, really bad in the playoffs, and they're going to regress back this year a little bit. And my man, Joe Burrow, is going to bring the Bengals back to the division championship, and the Bengals are going to be on top of that division. Now, let's slide over to the South. The Titans are in a rebuild. The Colts, Anthony Richardson, I still don't think is that great. I think he's a lesser version of Cam Newton without as much physicality. He's not a real good passer. He's only in his second year. Still think the Colts are a ways away from actually eventually contending. Followed up by the Jacksonville Jaguars, who I think Trevor Lawrence got paid his money. I think he is going to step up. They're not going to win the division. It could go either way, but I don't think they're going to win the division because the Texans are stacked. If you recall last year's video, I told you flat out CJ Stroud was going to be better than Bryce Young. Clearly, that's the way it turned out. Now, granted, there's a little bit more talent around him in Houston, but he's a better quarterback. He's what you would call a field general. That team is on the up, and they've got Stephon Diggs. They've got some talent at key positions. They are going to be better, and they're going to win the South and make the playoffs again this year. Let's slide over to the West. Love my guy Antonio Pierce, but the Raiders are just not quite ready. They may finish ahead of the Broncos. It could go either way, but I'm giving the nod to Sean Payton on coaching experience, even though I don't think the Denver Broncos are much better. I think John Harbaugh is going to bring the Chargers back. It's tough to say back. They're not a bad team. They just were very poorly coached for the past few years. He's got a great quarterback out there in Justin Herbert, probably a top 10 quarterback. Just needs some direction. They're going to run the ball, going to take a little bit of the pressure off him. New receivers, but I still think they finish second in that division. And I just can't go against Kansas City. When their offense is good, they roll with it. When their defense is good, they roll with that. They somehow find a way to win. Coached really, really well. The Chiefs come back and win that division yet again. Now let's go to the AFC East. Nothing makes me happier than saying the New England Patriots are hot garbage. First-year coach, untested, unproven. First-year quarterback, who I don't think is going to be bad, but the rest of the team is void of talent. They don't have a good receiving core. They don't have not a good defense. They're just really, really in the dumper. And everybody loves to say that because it was good for so long, but they're going to finish dead last. Lucky if they win 5 or 6 games this year. Followed by the Miami Dolphins. Just gave Tua Tagovailoa a boatload of money. I think you have to do that in the NFL. You know the devil you have, so you keep that quarterback. But unless the Dolphins get home field advantage, they're never making it anywhere in the playoffs. Look at last year. They were rolling with the division. They choked it away at the end, had to go on the road, and just got blown out by Kansas City in freezing temperature. They're not quite ready for the next step. I think they're a good team, but Tua is still one bad hit away from being a chopped salad, and then they're really in trouble, even with all that talent at receiver and on the defense. And they did lose some guys on defense, so they're going to finish third. Next up is the Buffalo Bills. I've picked the Bills for years now, and they let me down every year. They do something to choke away their playoff run. I still think Josh Allen is a really great quarterback, probably the fourth or fifth best in the NFL right now. They have no receivers. They're all unproven, all new talent. Their defense is good, not great. They are definitely primed for the taking to not win that division for the fifth straight year. And the New York Jets are really good. Listen, they should have been decent last year with Aaron Rodgers. He got hurt. They have a good quarterback. They have good receivers. They have a great defense. The Jets, if they don't win the division this year, if everybody stays healthy, something is definitely wrong and a jinx is in. But they will win the division this year and end up in the playoffs. The Jets, the Chiefs, the Texans, the Bengals, I think the Ravens still make it. And I think any one of those second-place teams, has a shot to make a decent run. But it's really the cream of the crop is the Bengals, the Texans, and the Chiefs in the AFC. Now, on to the NFC. We're going to start with the North. I just think if you go top to bottom in this division, I predicted it last year before anybody else was predicting it. The Lions are a good football team. Dan Campbell is a good coach. The whole fourth down thing, he did that all year last year. It worked for them. The team buys into it. He has the support of the team. It didn't work out. It should have. There were a couple bad dropped balls, or else the Lions are playing in the Super Bowl last year. They will be back. Followed by Green Bay. I'm not super sold on Jordan Love. Sorry. I think he's good. I don't know if he's going to regress back and have a slump in his second full year as a starter, but they're not a bad team. They have some good talent. They got Xavier McKinney from the Giants, who's a pretty good safety. But then behind them, the next two teams, I think it's just a battle of rookie quarterbacks. I think Caleb Williams is going to be legit. I think they have some good pieces in Chicago, and they are definitely on the rise. They're where the Lions were about 3 years ago. I think they could make a jump. And the Vikings, I don't think are bad. They probably have two of the best receivers, probably the best receiving core in the NFL. But I don't think Sam Darnold is the answer, and I certainly don't think J.J. McCarthy is the answer. Won a national championship on a Michigan team that really didn't rely on him. So I wouldn't necessarily be writing home thinking he's going to be the savior in Minnesota. But they're definitely a few years away before anything happens with that. Now to the NFC South. All my Falcon fan friends have given me a hard time forever because I never picked them. Well, guys, this is your year. Kirk Cousins, don't get me wrong, he's a good quarterback. He's never going to win you the Super Bowl, so you can forget that. But he is going to make that great 40-yard pass, and then he's going to throw 3 interceptions right at the defender, and then he's going to go put his brain stimulator thing on and try to get out of his head because he folds under pressure. But in Atlanta, unlike in Minnesota, he's got a good running game. The offensive line is better. The defense is better. The Falcons should win this pretty bad division, but it might be close with the Bucs right behind them. The Bucs do have some issues. I mean, they have a great receiving core. Mike Evans is great. I'm not sold on Baker Mayfield. I think he had a good year last year playing for a contract. I think he kind of flakes out from time to time, but if they can hold it together and get their offensive tackle back in camp, the Bucs could be a player in the division, but probably finish second, followed by the Saints. Don't really care about the Saints. That's Jessica's team. They aren't really ready. They're not really going to go anywhere, but they are better than probably the worst team in football, and that's the Carolina Panthers. I told you last year Bryce Young was going to be terrible. He's terrible, just like all these other guys that come out of Alabama. Jalen Hurts, Tua Tagovailoa, him, Kyler Murray out of Oklahoma, all those 5'4", 5'7", whatever they are, quarterbacks. They make great plays, but they're not championship pedigree outside of college. This isn't the NCAA or the SEC. It's the NFL, and they've struggled. The only one that's really had success is Jalen Hurts, and we'll get to him in a second. Okay, so Carolina's at the bottom of the barrel there. Out in the NFC West, this is probably the easiest division to pick. Again, aforementioned Kyler Murray, he just ain't it. I mean, Marvin Harrison is going to help, but I still don't think the Cardinals are going anywhere. Followed closely by, again, another great receiver, DK Metcalf, but he has Geno Smith as his quarterback, and whoever else is going to come in there and try to take his spot. Not really sold on the Seahawks. The Rams are going to be better. Sean McVay can coach. Matt Stafford knows how to play quarterback, and as tough as could be. They will be back, even though they lost Aaron Donald. Their offense will be good. They should be able to score points. However, the cream of the crop in the NFC is the San Francisco 49ers. They have this tremendous team built because they have Mr. Irrelevant at quarterback. I think he's making $400,000 a year. Poor him. But They save all that money on the quarterback for now. They have about a year or two more before they have to pay him and the whole entire system, kind of restructures. But this is probably their year. They should get back to the Super Bowl, and we'll get to whether or not they finish the job here in a second. On to the NFC East. From bottom to top, the Giants and the Redskins are both not great football teams. The Redskins have a really good receiving core. The Giants' receiving core is a lot better. The offensive line is much improved. The Giants' defense is the thing that kind of throws them above the Commanders or Redskins, whatever you call them, in this division, but neither one is all that spectacular. Upside, the Giants might win 10 games. Downside, they could win 4. As far as Washington goes, Jaden Daniels is legit. Seeing him on Hard Knocks recall plays from Brian Daboll, that kid is just a pure weapon. He is going to be a great quarterback, and it worries me in the NFC East for the next 10 years, but this isn't the year. As far as the top 2 teams in the division, I hate the Eagles. Everybody knows I hate the Eagles. They're garbage. As far as an organization, the fans, everybody's just trash. The team has talent. They should finish in the top 2 in this division, but it's not because of their quarterback. It's because A.J. Brown, Devontae Smith, Saquon Barkley, a really good offensive line, even without Jason Kelce. Jalen Hurts is not a great quarterback. You've heard me say it before. I'm going to say it again. He's average behind a great line, similar to the next guy on our list, Dak Prescott. Dak Prescott's career was made when he had the best offensive line and Ezekiel Elliott and Dez Bryant all around him for him to make a name for himself. He has done absolutely nothing in the NFL except choke in the playoffs badly. Bad clock management, bad interceptions. They got blown out last year. However, they win the division in the East this year because they're all playing for money. CeeDee Lamb is playing for money. Micah Parsons is playing for money, and so is Dak Prescott. The Cowboys will win that division, probably win 10 or 11 games. Eagles followed right behind them. Now, let's talk about the playoffs. Don't think the Falcons are going anywhere in the playoffs, nor are the Cowboys, as previously mentioned. That's all they do is choke in the playoffs. The Rams might make a run from the second spot into a deep playoff run. I don't think the Packers are going to do it again like they did last year. I think, honestly, it's going to be the Lions and the 49ers again in the NFC Championship game. If somehow the Lions can get home field advantage, they might have a shot, but I really think the 49ers are going to go back to the Super Bowl. In the AFC, I think the Jets, they have Aaron Rodgers, which means they'll have a great regular season and they'll choke in the playoffs like he always does. I heard today he has the same number of NFC Championship victories as Rex Grossman, so I'm not really sold on Aaron Rodgers going deep in the playoffs, but they'll win the division. And then you got the Chiefs, the Texans, and the Bengals. Any one of those 3 teams could make a run, in my opinion, just because of the talent that's there. However, I am going to go with the Chiefs, Bengals, AFC Championship game, but Joe Burrow is going to come through again and stop the three-peat, and the Bengals and the 49ers will play in the Super Bowl, with the 49ers finally breaking through and getting their, I don't know if it's their 6th Super Bowl or whatever it is. They've lost the last 3 or 4 they've been in, but they're going to get it this year, and then they're going to pay Brock Purdy, and then the system's going to fall apart. But this is their title run right here, the 49ers. So, guys, you heard it here first. Chiefs, Bengals, AFC Championship game. 49ers, Lions, NFC Championship game. 49ers, Bengals, Super Bowl, and the 49ers win it. If you want to watch football, just tell your significant other, hey, I'm sitting down to watch the game, even though you already know how it's going to turn out. If you want, get in my DMs, tell me what a jerk I am, or post it on this message, on this video. Tell me what a jerk I am so I have the receipts to come back at you in February, and let you know the kid knows what he's talking about. Have a good one.